The Webcam Project. He sits in his room with a raw throat and bloody knuckles. It can't be undone. It can't be erased. His girlfriend's corpse lies in his arms, severely disfigured and mangled. The man is in shock and doesn't know whether to cry or laugh. He feels nothing emotional, just newly exposed blood running down his arms and legs. Amid his seemingly desolate state, he remembers the box in his pocket and begins to laugh. Everyone knew how much this couple loved each other. David and his soulmate had been inseparable for the past 2 years. It seemed no matter what the situation arose, they would always find a way to be in it together. Their love could not be matched by anyone else's. David had planned for months for this day. It was supposed to be the day he proposed to her. He called her to come over to his house, where he had a nice candlelit dinner planned out. He had rigged the electricity in the house to suddenly turn on every light and appliance, then seemingly die out, much like a power surge. I regret to inform you, listener, that this didn't happen the way it was supposed to. Merely one light turned on in the kitchen, flickering above the new laptop David had received as a present a few months prior to his birthday. Sitting on top of this gift was a webcam David had obtained for a few dollars from a friend at work who simply claimed he didn't want it any longer. Each time the light flickered, David looked up back at the laptop. His senses were dulling and his sweat was pouring from every pore it could. After some time, he couldn't bring his gaze away from the laptop. It was long until the worried yells from his girlfriend started to blur into ambient sound. He no longer sensed anything. David snapped. Something caused him to do this, but we will never know for sure. Maybe there was a faint whispering in his ear. Maybe he saw an unfamiliar face, or maybe it was something far more sinister. No matter how you want to put it, he snapped. Before his girlfriend could utter another word, she was knocked out cold. David threw her punches, and he screamed like a madman. Couldn't be stopped, never once questioning his actions. This brings us to where we are now in the story. The effect of some sort of delusion had started to wear off as David rolled off his dearly beloved's soaked body and dragged her into his room, so he could still stay with her for the duration of the night. Outside of the house, all is silent. David takes this in for a split second, but not a moment longer. His brain has become metaphorically dead, as if his mind were asleep, but his body was not. He laughs and laughs and laughs until he could close his eyes, along with his girlfriend. Our research has shown that 100% of all people exposed to our project, entitled the Webcam Project, have acted in the same way or nearly the same as David did. We are now able to take over anyone. Anyone that has a webcam cannot avoid us. We're always watching through that webcam they have plugged in. That's what they told me. The lowly intern sworn to secrecy. I don't know how they do it or why, but this is my warning to you. Unplug your webcam and never plug it back in. I know I did. I no longer work for the agency, and they might come after me for posting this. But it's for the best. Right? White with red. A man went to a hotel and walked up to the front desk to check in. The woman at the desk gave him his key and told him that on the way to his room there was a door with no number that was locked, and no one was allowed in there, especially no one should look inside the room under any circumstances. So he followed the instructions of the woman at the front desk and going straight to his room and going to bed. The next night his curiosity would not leave him alone about the room with no number on the door. He walked down the hall to the door and tried the handle. Sure enough, it was locked. He bent down and looked through the wide keyhole. Cold air passed through it, chilling his eye. What he saw was a hotel bedroom, like his, and in the corner was a woman whose skin was completely white. She was leaning her head against the wall, facing away from the door. He began to stare in confusion. For a while, he almost knocked on the door by curiosity, but decided not to. This disinclination saved his life. He crept away from the door and walked back to his room. The next day he returned to the door and looked through the wide keyhole. This time all he saw was redness. He couldn't make out anything out besides the distinct red color, unmoving. Perhaps the inhabitants of the room knew he was spying on the night before and had blocked the keyhole with something red. At this point, he decided to consult the woman at the front desk for more information. She sighed and said, "Did you look through the keyhole?" The man told her that he had, and she said, "Well, might as well tell you the story. A long time ago, a man murdered his wife in that room, and her ghost haunts it. But these people were not ordinary. They were white all over except for their eyes, which were strangely red.